welcome everyone to this portion and segment of Stopping the Violence. We have been going on for a strong 3 years, and it's been a wonderful and excellent journey. Um, Today is September 3rd, 2025. Today we have a speaker that has already been on, but we want to re-listen to him and have an open discussion. Um, First of all, I always like to introduce where are we coming from and where we seem where we are our objective of where are we going, and we look to go. And that is that we're coming from the original purpose for us in even establishing this seminar, a webinar, was because the Mother Moon, who is the initiator of this, asked that America really deals with gun violence. And we started off with Stopping the Gun Violence, ABC. And actually, after all of our wonderful speakers start coming on, we realized that there are some root causes to even a person to pick up a gun, which is an inanimate object, and use it against another person. And so it has spiraled into really going into the root causes that triggers people into ill behavior, which morphs into violence and violent behavior. So we're happy that and pleased to have had all these great speakers from religious leaders and community activists, uh, judges and mayors. We had the whole plethora of the segment of society that are concerned with stopping the violence. But today is a good friend of mine. He actually, his name is Frank Murphy, and it's mentoring with purpose. And this is what he has done after his extreme experience and his journey and his life journey. But he used to be, he was previously an NFL player, and he's won the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Recipient Award. He's a national excellent motivational speaker, and also he's an author. Just a little bit about him. He's from the NFL draft, founder and the president of Mentoring with Purpose. Uh, he has been battling in his own life with different obstacles, but it enforced him, and it helped him to be more tenacious and determination to prevail over those things that have prevented him or became an obstacle in his life, to help those who are faced with similar obstacles, and giving hope to them. So he's written a wonderful book called The Man Behind the Helmet, on God of the Second Chance. So without any further ado, we want to introduce him and have him come on this recording to really reiterate some of the points that he shared with us previously. And then we'll have a wonderful open discussion. I want to welcome everyone. Glad you're here. And we look forward to our conversation afterwards. Frank Murphy. Actually, he's like just one of the point before he comes on. He's actually working in some uh, some social outreach program with youth that was he was appointed for a special project in the community by the existing administration and President Trump directly. So without any further ado, let's welcome our dear brother and a good friend of mine who we've met and had several conversations, and look forward to doing some great things for the country in the future. Frank D. Murphy. EJ is, are you ready?
Thank you again, Dr. Oliver. I appreciate this opportunity. And I always say, you know, when it's an opportunity about motivating, intriguing, and empowering our next generation, I'm all in. Jack is the young man named that was on stage with us that was hosting.
Jack Brewer.
Jack Brewer, yeah. Great guy, of course, great friend of mine, played in the NFL as well. But one thing that I talk about and what I feel deep in my heart, I make sure that people understand I don't really want you to know me all as that NFL player, the guy that's accomplished all those accolades. I'm thankful, but I want you to know me as a guy that never gave up, because that's why I'm here today. I'm only here today because I didn't quit. I didn't give up. And I have constantly spoke all around different cities, different states, even the world to be that exact. But I never gave up. Everybody gonna have an opportunity to give up eventually, and you're gonna have to make that choice. Will you give up? And one thing I had to do before I started doing what I do now, I had to empty my cup. Because sometimes your cup can be full of speculation, bad opinions, bad experiences, scars, things that you went through, things that people said about you, lied on you. You're going to have to learn, if you're looking to be successful, you're going to have to learn how to empty that cup and refill it with great wisdom and knowledge, and put the right mentors around you so you can see the light of day. Some of the things that Mentor and Purpose Charity has been able to do is, of course, something that impact communities by and large when it comes to putting programs and curriculum. We have digital curriculum, we have manual curriculums, life skill curriculums, we have books, of course, and our goal is to put that in every community, neighborhood that thirsts after knowledge and thirsts after help. And we want to show them that you got a second chance here. I know for myself, I had a second chance. And that's what thrives me and keeps me going and make me want to be that mentor. We want to create new role models to enter the sports arena as leaders, not followers. And we do that through Mentor and Purpose Charity. When I found myself taking that fake ID, that's what I call it. It's a picture of you, but everything in your life. I took that fake ID and I began to run the streets of Jacksonville, Florida. I began to sell those drugs and get with the wrong crowd and begin to carry firearms, thinking that that's what I had to do because my society showed me nothing but that. My community showed me nothing but that. And thank God for the very, very low percentage that didn't fall into that. We know that percentage is very low. It's hard to walk around neighborhoods when all you see is sadness, anger, depression, killing, robbing, people getting shot. I mean, imagine that at an age of 11 and 12. And those are things that I encountered throughout my childhood, was able to see and experience. So I turned to the streets and I found myself incarcerated at 15. And when I went into that jail cell and I smelled the stinking socks, see the paint peeling off the wall, I knew this wasn't the place for me. But when I got in that cell, I began to realize that this is real. And one thing that I think our next generation, they don't know how real it is until it gets real. I think our next generation is looking up to the wrong role models. They imitating the wrong examples. I know that I did. And when I found myself behind those bars, I began to realize that my life could be possibly over. My dreams of me playing professional football and being this superstar athlete that I always envisioned was going down the drain. And I never forget, I went into the rec. We got invited to rec. You know, you go to rec, they get you outside, you know, play a little rec. And I'll never forget that this this guard told me he brought this man in to watch us play. He was like, man, these some talented kids. And when it was over, they kept me back and they said, hey, we want to talk to you, Frank. And this coach came out, this is in the jail. And he said, listen, I don't know what you in here for, but if you ever get out, you got a full scholarship at our high school, private school. You are a tremendous athlete, and I think you can make it to the NFL or the NBA. That was the first time somebody told me I could do anything. So from that day forward, no matter how much time I was facing, I was in my cell doing push-ups, sit-ups, squatting the mat, and people was like, man, why are you working out here? Why are you doing all this stuff? I say, man, because I'm going to the NFL. They start laughing. They say, man, you know what you had? You in jail. You ain't going to no NFL. And I say, no, I'm going to the NFL. Nothing took those words that was said to me by that coach / officer. And that's what started it all. That right there, that moment. So it matters what you say to our next generation. It matters what you don't say to our next generation. It matters if we're motivating them or we're just entertaining them. I go to impact. Wherever I go, I look to impact and not entertain. I found myself going to trial, and I won trial. I was able to go back to school, and I did 1 year in school and won all these awards, All-American in basketball, football, track, all in 1 year. I didn't have the grade to go to a big D1 school like Florida State, but I had offers from schools like that. I had to go to junior college, and being incarcerated, I didn't have the grade. I went to junior college, and like I told people, it's something called residue. And that residue stayed with me, and I couldn't even see it. And one thing I tell people, you can never discount the residue that our next generation have on them that may have came from their father's sin or mistakes or their mother's hurt. Because those things are scars that last forever, and you have to learn how to deal with those. I have friends that, thank God, my mama didn't experience a lot of this stuff, and my dad. I had a praying mama and I had a hardworking dad. But I was friends with guys that they would have to watch their mom have sex to get money for drugs. They had to sit there and watch that. They had to watch their mom do drugs. They had to watch their mom get beat up because she couldn't pay for the drugs at the time. What type of anger is in that child at 11, 12, and 13? What type of resentment is in that child? So I begin to understand we have to do programs that really touch the whole home. When I found myself going to the junior college, I got there and that residue followed me. I got there, I started right back up selling drugs right on college, something that I was doing basically my young life, and I started selling drugs on campus. I carried a firearm. I got shot at on campus, just doing all the things, shootouts, and I got kicked out. I'll never forget the coach. The coach called my mom and said, he got to go. We took a chance on him with his background. We took a chance on him being on probation. And my mama started to cry. She said, if he come back home, he'll be dead. Will you please do your best to find him another place? And the coach was like, I don't know if I can recommend him anywhere. He's a talent, but his talent don't outlast his character. And he said, I think I got one place I can try. So he tried a college in Kansas. And I went on to Kansas Junior College, and that coaching staff took a chance on me, but once again, residue followed. I didn't know how to break the residue. I didn't even know I had residue on me from being incarcerated, my community, my neighborhood, all that stuff that I was doing. I didn't know I had a problem. I was in college talking about shooting and doing all this when you're supposed to be in college talking about getting your degree. But because of that residue, I didn't know nothing was wrong. But when I went to this second junior college, I got into it again. I'm talking about God of second chances. I got incarcerated again for a parent shootout, and also started selling drugs again right there. And I went to trial and won trial. You got to understand, that's my second trial that I was found not guilty. And I told the coach, can I come back? You got to remember, during this time waiting on trial, the coaches wouldn't even talk to me. I mean, I would speak, they would just put their head down. I said, can I work out today, coach? He wouldn't even say that back. The president said, hey, we got to let you stay in school, but you'll never touch this football field again because you haven't been found guilty, so we got to let you get your education. She said, you got a 0 point something. She said, can you try to focus at least on your work? I picked my 0.3 up to a 3.5 grade point average. And I walked the halls every day. And one day my life changed forever. I walk this hall every day because when people see me, it's a smaller town, so they know from the news who I was, so they would not even say anything to me or speak. And I walked this hall and I heard a voice. That voice said, hey, young man. And I turned around, it was a janitor. And she said, I don't know who you are, but you walk this way every time, and I see you, and it's a light following you over your head. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, God told me to tell you that you're going to change the world, and you're going to change this football team in no time. And I started to laugh and say, lady, I go to trial in like 2 weeks, and it looks pretty bad for me. I say, the coaches don't talk to me. I'm not even on the team. They don't even want me back near the team. I say, so I don't know what you're talking about. She say, no, I'm telling you what God told me to tell you, that you're going to change the world and you're going to change this team in no time. She say, let me ask you something. Will you go to church with me? I say, man, you sound like my mama. I'm good. She like, no, please. Will you go to church with me? Just hang with me. I say, well, I ain't got nobody else, so I might as well. Nobody else like me. And she mentored me. A woman decided to mentor me when every coach had an opportunity, but they didn't see the diamond shining at that time. People would bypass me, had a chance to mentor me. They didn't see the diamond shining. She didn't need to see a diamond shining. She took me under her wing. She mentored me and talked about what I was going through. She told me that this is only a phase. You have to think like this. Nobody ever sat down and talked to me and prayed with me and showed me that. Of course, my mama did an excellent job, but you know, after a while, you don't really listen to your mom and your dad no more. So they did an excellent job, but it was so far stretched. It had to be other people involved. It takes a village. And I went to trial and I won. After that trial, I went back to the coaches and said, hey, could I play now? You know, hey, I got found not guilty. They was like, well, we already got an all-star running back. We really don't need no help. They really wanted me to leave. My GPA was up to 3.5. I did all that stuff. And I went home for the summer. And they said, well, you can come back and try out for the team, but we already got our star player, the position you play. I went home for the summer, and I could have quit, you guys. I could have gave in to what that coach said. When I got back to Jacksonville, Florida, I had a test. You know, there I was around all the big dope dealers in my family. All the people see me come back home, friends. And I never worked before. I never had a job. I never had to have a job. I remember getting a job at Winn-Dixie Warehouse and working there. And right after I worked there, I would print out this Florida State workout book. And I would copy everything in that workout book. After work, I would go to the track and go to the weight room. And I'm here to tell you guys, I didn't have nobody with me. And I did that every day to the point I almost died. I cramped up from the top of my head down to my toes because that's how bad I wanted it. And I remember also every time that I had a friend call me late at night to go do something, I would take that as a slap in the face. And when I get off the phone with him, I would go to the track and run. That's how dedicated I was to seeing change in my life. I get a call one day when the summer about over. It's the coach. He say, hey, I'm thinking he called me telling me don't worry about coming back. He called me and say, hey, have you been working out? I say, yeah, I've been working out every day. And he said, well, I just want to tell you that you may have an opportunity because we had to kick our star running back out of school. He got caught stealing from the president's daughter, so they kicked him out of school. And I say, man, but here's the example that I tell people. What if I'd have gave up? What if I wouldn't have, what if I wouldn't have been working out? What if I'd have just said, oh, okay, I didn't take it like an obligation. I took it like an opportunity. I got back to school. I led that team to the national championship. I won MVP of the championship. I got inducted to the Junior College Hall of Fame. I was All-American, #1 recruit in the nation that year, just like Miss Cheryl, the janitor, told me. So when you tell me our generation and our kids that's committing these violence, when you say they don't need a mentor, they do, but the mentor may not look like you think they should look. This is the reason for this story. It was a janitor that changed my life. And I think so many times we look for all these titles, and we have to get out of titles and get into purpose. I had a janitor that changed my life, broke all those records, God shining over me, the light over me. I'm changing the world as we speak right now, all type of awards from different presidents. And I'm not saying this to impress you. I'm saying this to impress upon you that if God can do it for me, he can do it for you. He can do it for your kids. He can do it for your neighborhood. And that's why Mentor on Purpose Charity was created, so we can go into the neighborhoods and overflood it with all of these programs, life skill programs that I didn't have. I realized that the life skills was the bridge to my success, and I had no life skills. How to handle anger, how to control my emotions, how to say I'm sorry, how, those things, how to know my purpose. You know what I mean? Those, how to handle disappointment. Those are life skills that I didn't have, and I understood clearly that I had to do something to be the bridge to what our community was going through. So that's what I've been creating. Our programs are in the prisons now, on the tablets. Our programs are it's been in schools, colleges. I have done programs with NFL teams, for the NFL teams like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So where we at now is Mentor on Purpose was created first out of my, not my anger. And this is what I want to tell all mentors. You can't create nothing out of anger. You got to create it out of anguish. Anguish is different than anger. Anger means it's a burning feeling that you want to get back. You want to hurt something. You want to go so hard till somebody else feel it. Anguish is something, a burning desire within yourself, that if I can help somebody because I see this person hurt and I see that person hurt, and that anguish is burning in me, that if I don't help, I don't think nobody else will. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to help. And I had that anguish burning desire in me to give back. And I tell people that when you meet the next generation, it don't have a color, it don't have a gender on it. Everybody, and I tell people about the guns in their society, the violence in their society. Every gun has a spirit on it. That same gun that kids carry makes them feel powerful. But when they use it, that gun turns right around and say, why did you do that? And start condemning them. Because it's a spirit on every gun to make you feel a certain way. And when you feel a certain way, you'll do a certain thing. I'm talking from experience. So until we get the foundation back in place, we won't see a lot of change, you guys. And what I mean by the foundation, until we get God back in place. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but when I say I've been there, done that, I have the resume to alert you on what I've done and alert you on how it works. Until we get a foundation of good people back in place that understands that it's a word called grace, and we have to really start forgiving ourselves and forgiving others that have done things not only to us, but to people we know. Until we get in place where we put down that fake ID, which is a picture of you, but everything on there a lie, and pick up that real ID, until we get into the right position. See, a lot of us are out of position. We in a position that feels good and that's comfortable that we want to be in, but we're not in a mentor position that God wants us in. There's a lot of people out of position because they chasing fame and titles. And number one, they chasing money. I've been blessed to not chase money. I've been blessed not to think about chasing being famous, you know what I'm saying? But being impactful. And I wake up every day and I encourage everybody to do this because before I got drafted, my past got brought back up. I broke all these records at Kansas State, went on to Kansas State. I broke records, ran a 4.21, 42-inch vertical, and the scout was just all over me. And I never forget, they call us to the front so they can look at you. All 32 teams looking at you, see if you know what tattoos you got, if you're injured. And this guy went before me and they called him up and I'm like, man, they just praising him. And I'm like, man, I look better than him. I can't wait till they call me up. I'm ripped, I'm ready. And they called me up next and they wasn't saying nothing. They was looking up and down. I'm like, what are they looking at? They was looking at my resume, my record. And one thing I'll tell people, when you get past that, don't bring your past into your presence and destroy your future. Because those scouts looked at me and one of the scouts say, I don't think we can draft you. With this type of record, my God, you got found not guilty, but it was all involving guns and shootings. And my God, even back then, they wasn't even accepting guys that got felonies and things of that nature. It was very rare. And my head dropped. And I say, oh God, I did all this hard work. I changed my life. It's because they were still looking at my past. And I did this drill. I call it the mirror drill. And I tell our youth to do it every day. The mirror drill is a place you can see yourself, hear yourself. And I began to talk to myself when I got home back to Jacksonville, Florida. My mom said, you ready for the draft, son? I say, Mom, they don't really like me like that. I already can tell. She say, boy, shut that up. She said, what God got for you, no man can take it away, and you will be drafted. And I went in the restroom and started talking to myself. I said, I worked too hard. God got my back. He's never going to leave me. I lift weights too hard. I'm going to get drafted. See, the mirror is not just to reflect what you see, it's to correct what you see as well. I got in that mirror and started correcting some things about myself, my image. I started correcting some things about that I used to do that I can't do no more. So I started looking at myself and doing self-evaluation. That's one thing in our programs. We ask our youth and those who've been out there in the streets that's trying to convert over and be mentors and be right and do right and act right and talk right and live right. We tell them it has to be self-evaluation. So we do a lot of self-care things throughout our curriculums as well. Sure enough, I got drafted in the 6th round. Me and Tom Brady came out the same year. And I remember telling, they say, Frank, how did you do this? I say, man, of course it's the grace of God, but I had to put myself in the right position for success. And I never forget the day that I got a call from Peyton Manning, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game in the NFL. And he said, meet me over here, man. I want to throw a little bit. You in shape? I just want to get my arm right. And I said, yeah, I'm free. I went over there and he said, man, I'm going to have another quarterback with me. Do you mind? I say, no, I'm in shape. I get there, it's him and Tom Brady, two of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. And I say, Lord, I get the catch for these two guys that just at a high school, just me and them. And I noticed something about Peyton Manning. Peyton said, Frank, if you get in this position right here, you're going to get the ball every time. I ain't say 2 yards to the right or to the left or too far back or too close. I say be in that position and I'll get you the ball every time. Every time I was in the right position, y'all, that ball was right on time, right there. Tom was a little different. Tom said, just be there. I'll just get it there. I'll shoot it there. And learning that from Peyton Manning, I say, man, a lot of us, we want the ball, but we're in the wrong position. And our blessings just keep falling because we're not in the right position because we're listening to the wrong quarterback. And until you get in a position to listen to the right quarterback, you won't be catching those blessings. You won't be putting yourself in position to be successful. And when I learned to do that, based off that little example, I seen my life start to change. I didn't know what character and integrity was until I got to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I got in that locker room and, I was like, man, I watched Coach Dungy and I said, dog, there's something about this guy. Like, it's just something about him. I don't know what it is. And I remember that one game we played so bad And I say, man, Coach Dungy's finna cuss us out. You know, he all nice in public, but I bet he's finna come in here and just go off on us. And when we got in the locker room, he was the same way. He was talking the same way. He didn't cuss us out. He said, you got to play better or I'm going to take you out. It was no cussing or something different than what you've seen on TV. And I began to say, man, I want that. I want to be respected like that guy. So I used to watch Coach Dungy and I learned from him how to have character and integrity. Then I watched Derrick Brooks in the locker room. Hall of Fame linebacker, went to Florida State, one of the best linebackers to play the game. I watched him and how he handled situations. These guys didn't even know I was watching them. Then I had a pastor by the name of Pastor Greg Pope in Tampa, Florida, Revealing Truth Ministry. He passed away some years back, and he was my best friend. I watched how he lived. So what I'm telling y'all is, until we able to put something around our community, in our community, for them to imitate and watch, it's going to be a struggle until we give them something to hold on to, such as God, because it's nothing else that they can hold on to. I'm telling you from my experience, that's the only reason I made it, because I truly believe that God loved me and he got an opportunity for me. And I never forget, my mom told me in Jacksonville, when I was in prison, in jail, and they offered me 3 years to take it, and I already been there almost a year. So I was like, Mom, I'm gonna take this, because I only do 1 more year and I'll be out. She said, no. She said, God told me that, no, you don't take no time. You finna get out. God got a plan for your life. I was like, man. She said, I see you traveling the world. I'm like, listen, Mama, I'm the one in here doing this time. And I never forget, I went back to my cell and I said, God, tired of you talking to my mama. When you gonna talk to me? Like, you showing her all this, but I'm the one in here doing this time. I don't want to lose trial, because if I lose trial, I'm getting 10 to 15 years, max. And it was just like a day later, you guys, I had a dream of how the trial was going to go. And I woke up and I'm like, whoa, okay. I called my lawyer and I said, hey, we going to trial. He said, you sure? I said, yes. I felt like God was talking to me and showing me in that dream how the trial would be. And guess what, you guys? I went to trial. It happened just like the dream. So I'm not here to tell you a bunch of fluff. I'm here to tell you that God is real and that he works. I'm here to tell you not only I experienced it for myself. This is not just me experiencing for myself. I have seen others and helped others. I helped some of the worst killers, drug dealers, and drug addicts get in a different position. And if we're going to do this, it's going to have to be done together. I mean, I'm open I wanted to tell my story. I'm open to any questions and just anything that I can do or give to any listener. I just thought the best thing to do was to share my heart and share with you what I've been through and what I experienced firsthand. So you're not getting secondhand information. You're getting a brother that's been delivered, set free, and I'm still growing. So definitely, I'm open to any questions about any situation that may motivate you to be a better you.
All right, thank you for that extraordinary presentation. Amen. Yeah, I want to thank you. Him. Just want to open it up. Let me just for any remarks that people may have, or any points they'd like to bring up. I would like just to say that the power of the word. Wow. Oh my goodness. Welcome everyone. I see BJ Smith. Oh, I see the hands. I'm not going to say anything. One thing I would say is that it's a powerful, what are ones here? A powerful concept that he put before us, And I love that two things. One, positioning, and number two, that gun has a spirit on it. So anyway, I'll open the floor up. Wayne, I see your hand up. Who was first? Wayne?
Yes, I really loved hearing your story, uh, Frank Murphy. It so many good points in it. I can't don't know where to begin with all of them. But in the beginning, you had said that President Trump, you're working with President Trump to deal with problems within our cities. Yeah, did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, no, yeah, that was a recording.
Oh,
Yes, he is. Uh, he's been appointed by President Trump for some inner city projects uh, as we speak, since he's done this particular um, program. When he did this about last year he gave us this wonderful presentation. Yeah.
but the comment that
Okay.
he made that really struck me is God is real. It's not just a concept, not an idea, but God is real and God is working in my life. And he gave multiple examples of what that really means. And that is a message that he put very powerfully and very clearly, and we need a lot more of that. So thank you for bringing having this video for us to see. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
James, let's get James and then you, VJ.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just the trials and tribulations that he was able to go to was really to help his program later on. I think too many times we think our past, we try to cover it up or whatever, but for us to get from our past to our present is for our future ministry, not just hiding it away from other people and not letting people know what we've been through and just trying to get people to uh, believe, but we're not sharing a testimony, because we look at it as it's not a testimony. It's just something I did wrong, but it seemed like it was right because you're able to talk to people in a different way because of all the adversities that you went through, whether it was the janitor or your mother, we know it was God still trying to get to them, in which he even said, God, I'm tired of you talking to my mom. So we know that, like you said, God is real, and I think we just need to stop being so under organizations and start really being under God, like he said, put God in his right position, and we can move forward. So it was good. Good taping.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's so true. Reverend VJ Smith.
Man, thank you, brother. So good to see you, man. Good to see everybody. And I apologize for my absence. I'm going to try to do better. His testimony was important, and there's two things that happen out of that. One is unfortunately, I think as mentors, male mentors, we tend to get burnt out, and we run out after the second chance. We kind of run out of gas. Some of us do, and sometimes it's the fourth and fifth chance where you have a breakthrough. And so, as this woman came into his life, she's seen a vision, and so it's just kind of excited me about, remember, it might be the fourth chance, it might be the fifth chance. It just continue to give people another chance. Be careful, be cautious, but continue to give people another chance. And I think so many of us get burnt out. We're overwhelmed. There's not enough of us mentoring as it is. And then when you look at the funding is getting tore down for people that want to mentor. We just had one of our organizations lose 400,000 because of the new administration. But I just think that story just goes to show you never know who's going to be that person that's going to come in your life and make a huge difference in your life. I know for me, it was the pastor at the church that gave me another chance, even though I was on the run from the police. I got baptized, and he said, "What's your real name?" And I told him. And because of that, he said, "Don't be ashamed." He said, "You go back to where you need to go and do what you need to do because God's got something for you." And I haven't looked back, and ever since then, I realized it's my chance now to do the same thing for the next young person to continue to do that. So great testimony. I'm sorry I missed the live one. Can you bring him back and maybe we can find out how he's plugged in and get plugged in for our conference and other things? You know what I mean? So that'd be great to have a connection with the resources that he's got to help us do what we want to do too, to make a difference. Good to see you, Dr. Oliver. Good to see everybody. God bless you.
Oh, God bless you. Thank you. So that ran across my mind too. So we're going to talk about that. You know, yeah. So anyway, yes. Anyone else? I see.
I'll add this if it's okay. I'm just actually coming back from went down Mississippi, Louisiana, and Houston, Texas. I'm actually on my way back now. I'm in Virginia, but just going down there, I actually saw that my father's family had like 21 acres, and then God led me to go to where my mother was born at, and they had 50 acres. And what God was showing me was something He showed me 12 years ago about having a family resort. Because I remember the days where we would go and travel all the way from Delaware down there, and you just see cars with different tags and so many people, and now we have lost that way. But just sharing with a couple of my cousins who live down there and the things that they are into, want to sit down with them as far as bringing families from the city, not just, the child, not just bringing the child down there, but bringing maybe trying to get the whole family to come, or at least an adult with them, and let them spend some time away from sirens and noise and really be in the country. And they got they're working on cars down there. They're working on houses down there. So while they're down there, they can also learn some skills and different things like that. So I'm God is about to do something, really, really do something to where these visions that He has given us, the funding, we ain't gonna have to worry about coming from the government, but we are gonna be getting it from the sinners. So the sinners about to give up the wealth over to the righteous. So we got to write the vision for the money that is coming. So if you ain't got your vision written, no money. But get that vision written because the funds is going to be available.
I agree.
That's my piece.
I agree.
All right.
Amen. Amen. Yeah. So, Doctor, I see she came on, but she's heard it before. Murphy, Dr. Alexander, did you want to share some points? Good to see you. I don't know if she can hear.
I mean, my phone froze, I think. Greetings, everyone. I logged in a little late, but I did hear him speak when he was live. Well, the live and in person, not like he's unalive now. But we talk about first, second, and fifth and 10th, chances. And the question becomes, what are we going to do with those chances? You know what I mean? I heard Brother BJ and I heard Brother Parker, just talking about how they're giving it back into the communities and into families. So, and I think that's the primary goal. Once we receive that 10th chance, if it takes that long, or for some it takes even longer, just to be able to give back, to take somebody else up under your wing. When we mess up, the enemy, puts guilt and shame on us, and sometimes in the community and sometimes even in the church, that guilt and that shame is laid upon you. But I always remember Jesus saying, he who has no sin cast the first stone. So with that being said, with everything else that's going on, I think we have to have a made up mind and a heart to do what's right and to serve in whatever capacity that we can serve. He made mistakes. However, he grew from those mistakes. You know, those mistakes was life changing for him. And I say all the time that our mistakes has built us, have shaped and molded us to become the people that we are today, whoever we are today. If we have the love of Christ in us, that love came from the mistakes that we made, the desire to want to even be a child of God, to a desire to even want to walk upright before God, the desire to read the word, study the word, amplify the word, mimic the word. That all comes from the mistakes that we made over time. So my prayer is that no one, my car is really acting up, y'all. My heart is that no one would be held in captivity or in bondage to their past, but keep their eyes on the prize for the future and the things of God. And as we continuously work together and be in collaboration, I just feel as though that we can see things manifest, that not only that we want to see for our families and our community and our future, for the world, basically, for our future. I think as long as we keep pressing in the realm in which we're going, that our latter days will be greater than our former. And that's what the word promises. And I'm done. Amen.
Amen. Amen, my sister.
Amen.
All
Amen.
right now. Get that car fixed now.
Look, it just started acting up on the way home. So I'm coming home and I'm going to make a phone call and it'll be there tomorrow because I plan on getting on the road on Friday.
Okay, you're always on the road, and I think that's absolutely right what you said. I believe also, that we do have to figure out when we talk about don't rely on the government funding, we do have to figure out how do we begin to fund what we need to fund because it seems like every time we get a hold on something, we begin to change it. When you think about the CETA program and those programs that really moved us forward and gave us a chance, they got thrown out because we started to move too far ahead. And so we do have to figure out how do we do that. But also on the other task, we have to figure out, wait a minute, we're still paying into those. That's our money. So we can't just say, forget government funding because that is our money. It comes out of our check every week. Every time we get some, they get it. And it's our money. So we do have to figure out then how do we make it fair? If we're going to look out for our kids, how do we make that fair? And so I look at it in that way. We still have to fight for what's ours, but we also still have to build what we need, and we have to have that collective, and we have to have that unity. So I can't be arguing about one thing if I want to unify with the brotherhood, because it's important that we have unity and we all come together and press forward for the better good of the future of the next generation. I'm working with some really influential people, and I see what they're doing is generational wealth. They're building on that, and they're passing it down to the next generation. So I'm learning that that's what they're doing. If it's just an insurance policy, whatever it is, it's getting passed down to the next generation so that generation doesn't have to worry about it. Many of us are still doing chicken dinners for funerals, but we need to make sure we pass that generational wealth down.
So correct. I agree with you. I think that where you were speaking, there's 2 points I want to say. One is the mirror, so you remind me, and then second, what he initiated his first comments on. But on what you just said too is, I think it's critically and important to, why I think the best practices concept is imperative. I think the best practices have not really been, of course, we have other players who see a success and they don't want to see it go too further or the further. But there's others who don't see the success because the success is not um, displayed to the national agenda enough where it, those who would come in with the naysayers can be augmented by those who say, yay, look at this. It really does work. Therefore, they qualify for our funding. We want to continue to fund this. I think what we're doing too is taking all the best practices and making a national agenda, right? So it's a deal. Even this administration, one thing Trump like is a deal. Can you make me a deal? So you can make a deal. Say, look, this is where we are. I don't think we have galvanized as a community enough to show our excellent results. We're too fragmented, And so how do we bring a collective unity to show this works? Because our best interest is America too. This is our home for 400 years, or anybody who comes, all the other people will come in. This is a nation of immigrants come, right? So it becomes your home. So our interest is here. Secondly, and we can discuss that a little bit more. And I think generational wealth is coming back into the psyche, if you will, of these at-risk communities, because that generation wealth was there at one point, right? And it was lost. So now we have to recalibrate our thinking. One thing he said too in the beginning was introspective, teaching the kids introspective, because we have to appreciate some of the analogies or things that he shared with us about what those kids have seen in their life. You know what they've seen. He said it, all kind of debauchery and all those things. These kids are traumatized. And how do we address the trauma? And I think that's what we're trying to do. Let's address the trauma in reality and not just accuse them, but appreciate what they have been through. And like he said one thing, he said, when that lady stopped him or somebody stopped him and gave him some accolades, he said no one has ever gave him the accolades before. That was new to him. But interesting enough, what he was sharing with us, those accolades work. That means that those kids who are traumatized are in need of that love too, in need of that love empowerment as well. And that if you do it, you get a result. There's a result, right? So how do we manifest that? Secondly, he said something about the introspectiveness that I'll bring to the floor. Is he said, when I was looking in the mirror, I was looking at what I can do, really having confidence in myself and ABC. He said, but the mirror is not to look at what you can do and the confidence in yourself, but the mirror also is there to help you look at what you need to correct. Right. So I really appreciate that statement. I wanted to open up the floor to the points that you made and everyone has made as we come to a close.
Well, that's a very profound statement, because it's easy to look at what you can do, but it's hard to accept what you need to work on, what you need to change. And I think that's imperative in our daily living, because if you're doing the same thing and you keep getting the same results, then you already know this lunacy. So it has to be, and the word reminds us to renew our minds daily. So my mantra is, I don't deal with what no longer serves me. If it no longer serves me, I delete it from my files. And that's important for me, to be able to help other people. It's like carrying baggage. You know what I mean? It's about carrying baggage, and to do
self-correction, you have to be able to look at different patterns that you have and figure out, okay, that's not working. So I no longer need to process that. But it takes self-awareness and self-assessments to get into that point. And until we're able to do that, there's some restrictions on helping other people, because other people's behaviors or patterns could trigger your old behaviors and patterns if you haven't dealt with them.
Mm.
And if you have dealt with them, then you can show them, or you can share with them how you were able to change or transform that that pattern, that belief, or that behavior. So that was a very profound statement.
Yes, yes, and what you just said, and I think it's in correlation with what he said also, and as he, he categorized or defined the word positioning. So if you're not looking and correcting, then you lose a position, and if you lose that position, then you lose that opportunity because you're not in a position to capture that opportunity. So we can move forward. That's something he said too as well. That's in correlation. Yeah, yeah, that's powerful. Thank you. Anyone else as we come to a close? Any closing words?
I'll just say this, like when we talk about the trauma that they've seen, we got to give them a new vision.
Mm.
And I can only go by what I've done, and them watching me pick up paper off the ground and throwing it in a trash can, and then they throwing down the trash again, and then see me again picking up the trash can. They were expecting a confrontation because that's what they're used to, confrontation. But when I never gave them the confrontation, but I still spoke to them and said hi to them and y'all have a good day, but never, just walking around their table, picking up trash, throwing in the, I wasn't letting that become the issue. And after a while, they stopped throwing trash on the ground. And then they chose to say, hey, if you need some help, let me know. So I think we have to be prepared. First of all, they're seeing something that they normally don't see. When they get finished drinking out of a bottle, they throw it on the ground, bust it, or whatever. And they seeing me picking up the glass and throwing it in, but yet I'm not saying nothing to them. That right there, you put them in a place where they didn't understand or know how to address this. So it changed their anger that they usually have that was built up, ready to go off if anybody say something to me, but they didn't know how to act when somebody pick up the trash and speak kindly to them. So like you said, we got to be ready and not the fourth, the fifth chance giving up. We got to remember that they could be coming from a home that just yell. Yelling is just a normal thing to them. So when we go out there, we got to be consistent and just do it. So that's my piece.
Thank you very much. That's profound. That is true. Yeah, that is true. Power of serving, the power of love, and I've always had that experience too. I think we all had a little experience where we, God helped us not to react in the behavior that's unbecoming because we lost control. I say with me, it never works. But if for a minute,
That's right.
if for a minute, sometimes God gives us that moment where we're in control, and then we can, exemplify what he said, just love, okay, no problem. And you see people react in a positive way many times. They surrender almost. Even if they just keep quiet, they're surrendering. And it's true. I was thinking what he said, many times they come from a home with a lot of yelling, screaming, and it's almost like a norm to them, So anyway, I appreciate that, Reverend Parker. You're correct.
Anyone? And he was leading by example. He wanted them to see him doing what he wanted them to see him doing what was best for the community. So even though he didn't say anything, his actions were undeniable.
Mm.
So
Mm.
that's the power, and that's the power in silence, and the difference between saying and doing, because saying and doing is two different things.
and and the power of example, right?
Yes, absolutely.
See, no, you know, they never see that example. It's not that they're
And I want
being able to do those things; they just never seen it. You
Never
know,
said. Yeah.
they don't know how to emulate it. You know. Hey,
that's right.
anyway, God bless VJ Smith, my brother. It's always good to see you.
Yes, sir.
And,
Yes, sir. Same here. I just want to say one thing about land and my brother having those acres. That's amazing because so much land was taken away from our community. And to have a family that still has land to be passed down is just amazing. So I'm so proud of you, man, that you want to do something with that to keep the family generational wealth going and the generational spirit going. So big ups for you, man. I'm proud of you. God bless you.
yeah, your family. Yeah, that's great. Excellent. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Good to see you, Wayne, Arcadia. God bless you, my brother. Good to see you as well. Uh, Always, and everybody else, John, we good to see you. Oh, Peter Giosi, Giosi. Good to see you as well. James, thank you so much, and always, my dear sister, Dr. Madeline, she holds down the fort when I'm not around. I just got back from,
Queen,
huh?
the
Queen,
queen.
yeah, Queen. And she knocks it
About humbly.
and she knocks it out of the park when she speaks. But we love you. We love everyone. God bless you. We love our brother. I will be talking with him, BJ. I think
Okay.
you make a good point. You know, I will be talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
God bless everyone. We'll see you next week.
All right. God bless. Until we meet
God
again.
bless.
Take care.